US President Donald Trump wants to make America great again. He also wants to make America great in artificial intelligence as well. He's just lined up three of the top tech firms who've committed to spend $500 billion in building Stargate, which Trump calls the world's largest AI infrastructure company.
It's my honor to welcome three of the world's leading technology CEOs. And in the case of Larry Ellison, it's well beyond technology. He's sort of CEO of everything. He's an amazing man, an amazing business person. But to announce the largest AI infrastructure project by far in history, and it's all taking place right here in America. And together, that's a massive group of talent and money. Together, these world-leading technology giants are announcing the formation of Stargate. So put that name down in your books, because I think you're going to hear a lot about it in the future. A new American company that will invest $500 billion at least in AI infrastructure in the United States and very quickly, moving very rapidly, creating over 100,000 American jobs almost immediately.
Now in 2025, the US seems to have embarked on a mission like the Manhattan Project to build the bomb, which it began in 1942, where the United States deployed its techno-industrial might to build the atomic weapon, win the Pacific War, and become the world's preeminent military power. Now, Trump isn't the only one to know of the power of AI. Back in 2017, that's right, 8 years ago, President Vladimir Putin said that whoever mastered AI would come to rule the world. What are the implications of this new Manhattan Project for India and the rest of the world? Joining me now on the News9 Plus show are Colonel Anurag Avasthi, Gaurav Tripathi, and Dr. Srinath Sridharan. Gentlemen, welcome to the News9 Plus show. Gaurav, give us a sense of what Stargate really means. $500 billion committed to create this AI infrastructure. Is Trump positioning the United States to be the new leader in AI and put China far, far behind?
No, of course. This is, you already quoted Mr. Putin on it. And in all seriousness, given the recent advances that have come to the light from China around AI, there is no doubt that everybody in US on the industry side, as well as on the strategy and the military side, people have been really worried. And something like this, I can say, was very much expected, that they should put their best foot forward. And how I see it is really to ensure that USA as a nation really is ahead of everybody else in terms of AI, especially the applications around it.
Yes, absolutely. US staying ahead of the rest of the world when it comes to AI. Srinath, I want to read out this Oracle statement that they just released on the Stargate project. They say that it will secure American leadership in AI, create hundreds of thousands of American jobs, generate massive economic benefit for the entire world. And it is a project that will support the reindustrialization of the United States. Give us an idea of how significant this project really is. I'm fully aware of the fact that in the past as well, 8 years back when Trump was president, he announced a couple of very big projects like this. There was one for chips, if I recall correctly, which a $10 billion project, which doesn't seem to have taken off till date. Will Stargate be any different?
Yes, Sandeep, I'm seeing it slightly different, and I think the US has probably got it act right. If you look at the history of the 20th century, it was all about financial capital. But I think very subtly, the US is moving towards controlling probably what is the data capital. Which means if you look at the tech behemoths, all the big tech firms are actually essentially the US entities. And
Yes.
Web 1 and Web 2, we saw them consolidate power and influence.
Yes.
And very subtly with this, the other unsaid conversation, what we should speak about is the last week's President Biden's, one of the last act of AI diffusion regime, which actually slots different countries, including India and China, as the third tier, which means that India and China need approval even to buy AI chipsets.
Yes.
So, which is why I call it, I think it is US consolidating its power towards one, data capital as well as cloud capital, because I think
Right.
that's the nature of 21st century AI.
US consolidating its lead over the rest of the world in data. Colonel Avasti, we discussed the US rules on AI a couple of days back on the outgoing Biden administration's rules that they've put us into a third category, where we need to take permissions and approvals, as Srinath just mentioned. I was looking at our spends on AI. The government of India plans to spend 10,371 crore rupees on artificial intelligence. That's over $1 billion. And there's an Indian AI mission that will establish a comprehensive ecosystem catalyzing AI innovation through strategic programs. Are we underspending when it comes to artificial intelligence? I mean, there can be no match between $1 billion and $500 billion. Is this a resource game, or should we kind of tie up with, say, some of the big Western partners that we have? We have strategic partnerships with the United States, for instance.
Yes, Sandeep, initially, we have to understand that whatever the announcements have been made, the initial investment in this is only $100 billion
Yes, it
by
will,
SoftBank.
over the couple of years, it will go up to about 500
Over a
is what
couple
they've,
of
yes,
years.
yes.
That's correct. Over a couple of years, it should be 500. It does not specify how many years and whatever it is. So I'm so sure that Masayoshi Son and Sam Altman and Larry Ellison will do something
Yes,
at the end of the day. And we need to understand two things in this. The first is that any kind of announcement in this kind of a domain has to look at two aspects. One is the financial aspect, which you've already alluded to. The other is what are the operational responsibilities.
right.
Now, while you have OpenAI, you have the Japanese giant SoftBank, and of course you have the cloud giant Oracle doing
Yes,
whatever they have to do, and they've been told what to do. There are other players like ARM, Nvidia, and Microsoft also, who are part of
yes,
the same, if I may say, a caucus. So the distribution of the financial and the operational responsibility still remains to be seen as to how it pans out in times to come. Now, three things come out very clearly from this announcement. A, it highlights America's potential.
yes,
We have to be very clear about it. The second thing is it ensures physical and virtual infrastructure. Clearly,
yes,
it brings out very clearly that there has to be a very clear virtual as well as physical infrastructure which has to come into play. And the
yes,
third part is that the US will remain the most important and most potent power in AI,
yes,
right? Now, coming back to the India AI mission, which you just alluded to, it came into being in the March of 2024. And you just mentioned that the cabinet has sanctioned around 10,371.92 crores
yes,
for the mission. This looks at four major issues. A, computing capacity. It looks at innovation centers. It looks at data sets platform and how they are going to be developed in times to
yes,
come. And of course, it looks at the startups financing. The missing link in this
yes,
entire system is that where is the industry?
right.
At the end of the day, when you have such great, missions and tirades coming into play at a
Yes,
national level, the industry has to get plugged in. So where is
yes,
that? Because at the end of the day, you just can't leave everything, as I always say in most of your shows, that you can't leave everything to the government. Where does the
yes,
industry come in?
right.
So there has to be a case of parallel funding in case it has to come in a place and time of its own choosing, wherein it only not only bolsters the entire the India AI mission, but also gives it wings to fly in times to
Yes,
come, especially in terms of the AI startups.
right,
Now, insofar as this entire announcement is concerned, and the $500 billion, etc., Sadeep, I will be a little cautious.
right.
I will not be able to say as to how it will pan out, because I feel it's a little too early to start speculating and say that, oh, it's colossal and it's very good and it's gigantic, and this will happen and that will happen and all of
Yes,
that. So I think we should wait and watch as
yes.
to how things pan out on ground,
We should wait and
and
watch
can
indeed,
this
Colonel
entire
Avasti.
thing deliver.
Yes, can it deliver? Of course, we will be tracking that story. But you know, the point that you made is very is spot on. The fact that where is the Indian industry in all of this? Where is the Indian industry in our AI mission? And I think what Trump seems to have done is lined up the American industry right from day one. In fact, even before he took over, he was addressing press conferences with Masayoshi Son and asking him to commit money, put money down on the table where it mattered, 100 billion to 200 billion. Gaurav, where is Indian industry in all of this? Where are our N. Chandrasekharans and Nandan Nilekanis, where they should be actually, taking this initiative like they are in the United States? Is the government missing something here?
Definitely, here what I see is we are missing the big view, the strategic view on, and at some level I feel we are still missing that confidence that
Yes.
no, we can really go for that those big problems. Because if you look at all the time when Sam Altman came and
Yes.
mocked us that no, you can't do a foundation model, somehow everybody has just accepted it, which is
Right.
so wrong. I mean, worldwide now China is building foundation models.
Yes.
There are companies there who are coming out with I mean, just to give an example again in terms of IP, China got almost 13,000 patents around AI last year.
Right.
Yeah,
It's the
we are
largest
nowhere
number
behind.
of patents in the world.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I
So
think we're
that-
missing out, by India Inc. missing in the. There is no India Inc. In the government's plans. Srinath, is that a major problem here? There are no Nandan Nilekanis here. There's no N. Chandrasekharan here. The government seems to be laying down the policy and putting the money over there. There is no all of country approach where Trump seems to have led the way with pulling out the big tech sarkar, if you can call it that.
Sure, I think I'm probably more harsher when I say that we have missed the entire value chain of AI, Sandeep.
Yes.
I mean, for example, US way back introduced the Chips and Science Act and committed
Yes.
280 billion. The Chinese government alone has spent about $200 billion in the last 10 years of investments in private sector.
Yes.
Apart from private sector pumping in about $104 billion, apart from creating centers of excellence, which India doesn't have.
Yes.
But more importantly, I think we are cocooned, and this is a kind of a cynicism that we have not spent enough R&D budgets at all as corporate.
Yes.
We are woefully behind, and
Yes.
yet we are also in the same mindset of what I call the cyber coolies. I mean, our entire IT and ITES industry is based on being a cyber coolie and not
Yes.
really up in the value chain, which also has a genesis problem in our education policy. I mean, while we were all been talking about the NEP that will change education contours,
Yes.
our STEM ecosystem is woefully behind artificial intelligence. If our kids are learning C++ and COBOL and some kind of data science, how are they going to actually go and talk about AI and take care of or compete with the US?
Absolutely.
The good kids probably just, and the good entrepreneurs just simply migrate. And in
Right.
India, I mean, let's face it, we all have been speaking about ease of doing business.
Yes.
Ask a Web3 or AI entrepreneur, where is the ease of doing business, despite saying that, hey, Startup India movement and all that, they're still struggling. I think so. AI, we are awfully behind. And while all these 10,000 crore and 20,000 crore, I don't share the bullishness that all of you share, that India will eventually catch up. The fear is that even if we are probably 10% of what the US and China are doing, I think
Yes.
we are far better off. We are way behind.
We're way behind, and Colonel Avasthi, this is something that you've been focusing on for the last couple of years. I've read all your policy pieces on AI and what needs to be done. Where exactly are we in the AI race? You have the United States and the Western world, China, close behind. Where is India really, and what is it that we really need to do in this?
All right. So, thanks. This is a very important thing which you brought out. See, at the end of the day, there are two kinds of hedging. One is, as I always say, one is the financial hedging, and the
Yes.
other is the talent hedging, which you need to function on. Now, a lot of people in the world would say that R&D is a function of a cerebral acumen, or R&D is a function of your brains, etc., etc. I politely disagree with the statement because R&D is a function of money. It's as simple as that, which I think Srinath's also very politely brought out. It's a function of money. It's as simple as that. That is one. The second part is, you also mentioned about the India Inc., which is going to be finally the end user of all of this. So while there would be a lot of things happening, there seems to be a little trust deficit which needs to be bridged between the industry, the academia, and the government. Because all three are different pillars and all of them have to converge, all these three vectors have to converge in a particular manner. Now, two major things which India should do, not looking at, the $1 billion advantage vis-a-vis $100 billion and $500 billion and
Yes.
all these colossal figures and zeros that we speak about, and in binary terms of, yes, no, and all of that. But the whole thing is we need to now develop foundational Indic language models in India, which improve the reach of AI to the vernacular as well as the other kind of advantage. And the second part is we have to concentrate very, very seriously on talent development. You have the demographic advantage. You have
Yes.
1.5 million engineers which come out every year. Your STEM prowess is comparable to none in the world. You're the best. So you might as well now get into talent. The more you develop talent, the more you'll
Yes.
be able to offset the financial aspect of it in times to come. That's
Right.
how I look at it,
Yeah,
Sandeep.
big gaps in our AI strategy there. Gaurav, what is it that India really needs to do to catch up? I'm aware of the fact that we possibly need to collaborate as well, because all of these countries that we just spoke about, they have excellent relations with India. India has a strategic partnership when it comes to electronics with the United States. Is this something for us to leverage? Or as you suggest, as Colonel Avasthi just suggested, we need to create our own large language models and our own AI applications?
We absolutely need to create our own, and I'll extend it further, not just on the linguistic side of things, but even other areas. For example, in medical, in life sciences, there are huge opportunities. One distinct advantage that we have in India is data.
Right.
Even Jensen Huang, he came to India, he said India should not export data and import AI. We are
Yes.
still not realizing and leveraging that power. And from a policy perspective, it's really we are still stuck how to get data to build AI. As we already spoke about, startups are struggling, industry is also struggling. There are no
Right.
clear policies, there is no clear way. For example, there are 1 lakh patients coming to AIMS every day. With
Yes.
that, we can come up with some of the best models in the world.
Right.
But we are not doing anything. We're just sitting there.
Absolutely, we're just becoming, a huge data center for the rest of the world to exploit, as Jensen Huang seems to have mentioned. But Srinath, is there something that you really expect the government to do now? The budget's around the corner. Of course, Trump has fired the first shots in the AI race with this Manhattan project for artificial intelligence. Do you see the government waking up and doing something about it?
I think the largest challenge, Sandeep, is this. You can do whatever budgetary allocation or announce new centers of excellence, but none
Yes.
of us or most of us don't know the shape they have been taking and what they're actually delivering. Unless we get those, and unless we actually work as a PPP model, here government alone cannot do the heavy lifting. The private sector has to come in, and innovative sectors also has to come in. So amongst these, where do we juxtapose intellectual property? How do we promote IP? How do we promote research centers and even thought
Yes.
leadership? I mean, we have not had a single large thought leadership paper on this entire topic from India, right? But end of the day, you're still looking at about 64 global centers of excellence, about 60 of them in the US, and very scattered, the rest in China and Germany. India does not have a single one. So all our claims to fame about talking about legacy IITs and IIMs don't cut corner unless we do anything to it. And that's where I'm a little cynical when we say that we have missed the boat already, is my fear.
We've missed the boat already, Colonel Avasthi. Is it too late for us, or is there some course correction we can possibly do? Put some more outboard motors or something on our AI mission and try and push it ahead?
Sandeep, India has that innate capability which can disappoint both the optimist and the pessimist alike.
Yes.
So we haven't missed any boat. That is one. I would suggest only a three-vectored approach. A, you need to put in a lot of money on the R&D now
Right.
at all levels, and you have to look at now the second tier and third tier cities also. I mean, you have to get away from the legacy, engineering institutions,
Yes.
which I would not name, but you know what I mean.
But give us a
And
figure.
then we
Can
need
you put a figure to this, Colonel Avasthi? Since we started by talking about this 500 billion, half a $1 trillion outlay that the US has outlined, what is the kind of figure that India should be looking at?
See, the ISM began with a figure of around $10 billion, the
Right.
Indian Semiconductor Mission. I would
Yes.
say we should start pegging it at least a $10 billion figure. 76,000 crores should be the minimum that we should begin with. And I'm sure the well begun part will be half done. The second thing is we need to have an accountability of academia while we look at it, because at the end of the day, it's public money and the academia needs to be accountable for it. It cannot be in absolute oblivion as to how things happen. And the third part is the industry has to plug in. India Inc. has to plug in, Sandeep. If you do not plug in, if the industry does not provide parallel funding, in democracies, unfortunately or fortunately, people have this strange way of thinking that the government will do everything. The
Yes.
government cannot do everything
Yes.
at the end of the day. So till such time you have these three vectors of more R&D, more accountability of academia, and more industry plugging into the system, I'm afraid we will lose the plot even if we have the requisite funding by the government of India.
Yes, absolutely. Gaurav, closing comments from you. Anything that you'd like to add to this very comprehensive list of suggestions our experts have given us on for India's AI mission?
So I'll also speak about three things. So what we need, as I call the AI magic, happens when we have PDC, so people, data, and compute. Now, out of these three, people definitely is the most important. We already spoke about capacity building. We need to urgently get our youth onto AI. We need to urgently transform the whole curriculum and get them on it. Data is again the very, very important part. Luckily, we have data, it's just not being used. We need to act on the policy side. We need to cut the roadblocks. We need to get this data out. Even Amitabh Kanji recently he mentioned that this needs to be unlocked. And finally, the compute. Yes, we have some good news in terms of the GPU that government has already committed. A billion around for that for 10,000 GPU. That is good, but that's again, that's too little, too late. We need to do at least 10x to get there.
We need to do 10x together, and the PDC that you mentioned is spot on, Gaurav. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us this evening as we speak about America's Manhattan Project for Artificial Intelligence.